On their wedding anniversary, Su Qingqian, my wife, put a piece of abalone into the intern's bowl in front of everyone. Smiling, she said, Xiao Lin just got here, so take good care of him. Then she pushed a plate of leftovers toward me. Jiang Yu, you eat this. The whole room fell dead silent, all eyes were full of mockery. I smiled, under Su Qingqian's stunned gaze. I walked over to my assistant, Qin Ji, pinched her chin, and kissed her. Then, I dialed a number, spread the word, against the Su group, begin the net closing operation. His lips were warm and soft. Qin Ji's body stiffened instantly, her beautiful eyes filled with shock, the air around them seemed to freeze, and even the background music felt as if its power had been cut off. Everyone's gaze shifted from the earlier mocking, as if watching a good show, to utter dumbfounded shock now, especially my dear wife, Su Qingqian. The color drained from her face in an instant, the hand holding her chopsticks trembled slightly, her lips parted, but not a single word came out. The abalone in the mouth of the intern named Xiao Lin seemed to have been forgotten as well, unchewed, his expression both comical and awkward. I've played the role of a worthless live-in son-in-law for 3 years. Today, I'm done pretending. I let go of Qin Ji and lightly pressed my tongue against the roof of my mouth, as if savoring the moment. A blush spread across Qin Ji's cheeks, and she quickly lowered her head, too afraid to look at me, but I turned around, my gaze shooting straight at Su Qingqian. Su Qingqian, my voice was not loud, yet it struck everyone's heart like an ice pick. We're getting divorced. You, what did you say? Su Qingqian finally found her voice again, sharp and full of disbelief. I said, divorce, I repeated, enunciating each word. You, and your Su family, are not worthy. Jiang Yu, you're crazy. Su Qingqian suddenly stood up, knocking the chair over onto the floor with a harsh scraping sound. She pointed at me, trembling all over with anger. You useless loser, you've been supported by our Su family for 3 years, and now you dare talk to me about divorce. What right do you have? Qualifications? I let out a scoff and pulled my phone from my pocket. The screen lit up, and I dialed the number that hadn't been touched in 3 years. The call was answered almost instantly. Sir, a calm, respectful voice came through the receiver. Uncle Wang, I said lightly, spread the word, against the Su group. Begin closing the net. Yes, sir, not a single unnecessary word. After hanging up the phone, I slipped the phone back into my pocket in one smooth motion. Su Qingqian froze, the guests around us also froze. The way they looked at me was as if they were looking at a complete lunatic. Acting, Jiang Yu, who do you think you are? Su Qingqian was the first to react, her face full of undisguised contempt. You think you're pulling in a net? What, do you think you're filming a TV drama? You can't even pay next month's rent. The intern named Xiao Lin also chimed in. Exactly, President Su, no need to stoop to the level of someone like him. He's probably mentally unstable from the shock. Mentally unstable. Soon, you'll know who the real madman is. I couldn't be bothered to waste any more words on them. I took Qin Ji's still dazed wrist. Her hand was very cold. Let's go. Stop right there. Su Qingqian shouted hysterically. Jiang Yu, if you dare walk out that door today, don't ever think about coming back. My Su family will never give you another cent. I didn't stop walking. He didn't even bother to turn his head back. He left her only a cold back and one sentence. The Su family, very soon, it will no longer exist. Chapter 2. Stepping out of the hotel entrance, the evening breeze carried a hint of coolness. Qin Ji finally pulled her hand free from mine, her cheeks still flushed red. Jiang, President Jiang, just now. She stopped mid-sentence, her eyes filled with a mix of panic and confusion. I looked at her, the only girl who had stayed by my side for 2 years and never looked down on me because I was the live-in son-in-law of the Su family. Sorry, it happened suddenly. I used you. My tone was calm, but sincere. Qin Ji shook her head and said softly, it's okay, it's just, are you really going to divorce President Su, and that phone call you just made? She still worries about me. A warm current swept through my heart. The divorce is real, I said, looking at the traffic in the distance. As for that phone call, that was real too. I didn't explain any further, and instead asked, has the plan B I asked you to prepare been arranged? Qin Ji immediately returned to her professional assistant demeanor and nodded. Everything has been arranged, as you instructed. The presidential suite at Junhue Hotel has been reserved long-term. All your documents and personal belongings were transferred from the Su family villa to the suite half an hour ago. Very good. I nodded. Over the past 3 years, I had lived in the Su family like a dog, but I wasn't really a dog. I was just waiting for a moment that would make me give up completely, and today, Su Qingqian personally handed me that moment. Take me to Junhue, I said to Qin Ji. Yes, Mr. Jiang. Qin Ji quickly hailed a car. In the car, she wanted to speak several times, but held back each time. It wasn't until they were almost at the hotel that she finally couldn't help asking, Mr. Jiang, will Su group really be in trouble? They have a very important project to bid for next month, and I heard it's tied to the company's development over the next 5 years. I leaned back in the seat, my eyes closed. They won't get that project anymore. Why? Because the largest investor belongs to my family. Chinji slammed on the brakes, the car let out a screeching scrape by the roadside. She turned her head and looked at me in shock, her beautiful eyes full of disbelief. Yours, your family's. I opened my eyes and looked at her. Chinji, my name is Jiangyu, from Huanyu Group. Jiangyu, Huanyu Group. These 4 words were like a powerful bomb, exploding in the cramped car. Chinji's breathing even seemed to stop. Of course she knew what Huanyu Group meant. It was a true commercial behemoth in the country, a force so powerful that one stomp of its foot could shake the entire industry. And I, the worthless live-in son-in-law of the Su family, the one who had been treated with nothing but scorn, was actually a member of Huanyu Group. So, these past 3 years, you experience life. I gave a self-mocking smile, and, by the way, see just how cheap so-called love really is in the face of reality. Chinji fell silent. She restarted the car, only this time, her hand gripped the steering wheel so tightly that her knuckles turned white. My phone rang again. It was my mother-in-law, Li Tsuifan. I pressed answer and turned on speakerphone. Jiangyu, you ungrateful bastard, you think you're all grown up now, huh? You dare bring up divorce with Qingqian? You've eaten our food, used our things, what right do you have? Li Tsuifan's sharp, venomous roar came through the phone. I'm warning you, right now, immediately, get back here at once and kneel before Qingqian to apologize, otherwise, I'll make sure you can't survive in Haicheng. Listening to that, a cold smile curled at the corner of my lips. Oh, is that so? You still dare talk back, you? Beep beep beep. I hung up the phone right away, then blocked the number. Noisy. Chinji glanced at me through the rearview mirror, her expression complicated. Mr. Jiang, if you do this, I'm afraid the Su family won't let it go. I'm waiting for them. I looked out the window, and the dazzling lights of Junhua Hotel were right before my eyes. Starting tomorrow, I want them to come begging me on their knees. Chapter 3. Early the next morning, the Su group was thrown into chaos. The Chengnan development project, which they had prepared for 3 months and were determined to win, saw its largest investor, Tianhua Capital, suddenly announce a withdrawal. There was no reason, no explanation, just a unilateral withdrawal. The news spread, and the stock price of the Su group plunged in response. Su Qingqian's father, Su Zhenhai, paced anxiously around the office. How could this happen? Why would they suddenly pull their investment? Wasn't everything fine yesterday? Su Qingqian stood nearby, her face as pale as paper. She didn't sleep all night, and her eyes were bloodshot. No matter how hard she thought about it, she couldn't understand why things had turned out like this. Dad, could it be Jiangyu? She said hesitantly, voicing a guess even she didn't believe him. Su Zhenhai let out a contemptuous cold snort. That loser, he's got that kind of ability. Don't be ridiculous, he can't even support himself. But he made that phone call yesterday. Acting, it's all acting. Su Zhenhai waved his hand irritably. We must have offended someone from Tianyu Capital somewhere. You, go check for me right now. Who exactly is targeting us behind the scenes? Su Qingqian bit her lip, her mind in complete chaos. She didn't want to believe Jiangyu had such earth-shaking influence, but everything had happened far too coincidentally. Just then, her phone rang. It was her mother, Li Tsuifan. Qingqian, go quickly and bring that ingrate Jiangyu back. Make him beg Tianyu Capital. I found out that Tianyu Capital's president is surnamed Wang, and he seems to be a rather distant relative of that useless Jiangyu. Li Tsuifan's information was always this well-informed. Su Qingqian felt a surge of irritation in her heart. Mom, what time is it already? And you still believe this stuff? He's just a loser. Even a loser should go try. What if there's a chance? Hurry up and go. Lower your pride a bit. Coax him, and get him to come back, otherwise our family is finished. After hanging up the phone, Su Qingqian felt even more flustered. Ask her to beg Jiangyu, the man she had trampled underfoot for 3 years. How could that be? And at this moment, I was in the largest auto city in Haicheng. Mr. Jiang, which model have you set your sights on? Qingji followed beside me, holding a tablet in her hand, ready to take notes at any time. I casually swept my gaze around. That one, then. I pointed to the newest Rolls-Royce Phantom in the center of the showroom. A man in a suit who looked like a manager walked over. He first nodded respectfully to Qingji, then looked at me, his eyes carrying a trace of barely perceptible contempt. Sir, you have excellent taste. However, this car is the crown jewel of our showroom, and the price is. Before he could finish, another voice cut in. Well, look who it is. Isn't this the useless son-in-law of the Su family, Jiangyu? I turned around and saw a slick-haired salesman with a powdered face, arms crossed, looking at me with a mocking expression. I Recognize him? I saw him before when I came with Su Qingqian to have the car serviced. He seems to be the top salesperson here. What? Kicked out by the Su family, and now you want to come here looking for a car washing job? There are always so many flies. I couldn't be bothered to deal with him. I said to Qingji, have your CEO come over. The salesman laughed even harder. Call our CEO. Who do you think you are? Our CEO is busy with endless matters every day. Do you think someone like you can just see him whenever you want? Qingji gave him a cold glance, took out her phone, and directly dialed a number. Mr. Wang, President Jiang is here. He wants to see you. No one knew what was said on the other end of the phone. Qingji nodded. Okay. After hanging up, she said to the salesperson, President Wang will be here soon. The salesperson's face stiffened for a moment, then the mocking smile returned. Keep pretending. Go on, keep pretending. I'd like to see who you can actually call over. Less than 3 minutes later, a middle-aged man in a tailored suit, with a huge belly, charged out of the office at a 100-meter sprint speed, with a look of panic and a fawning smile on his face. He trotted up to me and bowed at 90 degrees. Jiang, young Master Jiang, why have you come? Why didn't you let me know in advance? I could have gone to the entrance to receive you. The entire exhibition hall fell instantly silent. The sales champion's smile froze completely on his face. Chapter 4. General Manager Wang's back was bent like a fully drawn bow, and his forehead was covered with fine beads of sweat. He didn't even dare to lift his head and look at me. Mr. Jiang, did someone below fail to recognize your importance and offend you? I said nothing, my gaze falling on the sales champion whose face had gone deathly pale. President Wang immediately understood, turned around, and slapped him hard across the face. Smack, clear and resonant. You son of a bitch, are you fucking blind? Do you know who this is? This is the young master of Universal Group. He's the ancestor of all of us. Mr. Wang's voice was trembling. The sales champion was completely stunned by the slap, and with a hand over his face, he dropped to his knees with a thud. Jiang, young Master Jiang, I was wrong. I was blind. He was talking incoherently, and a foul smell wafted up from his pants. He had actually peed himself in fear. Truly pathetic. I frowned and said to Mr. Wang, it's too noisy. Yes. Mr. Wang nodded repeatedly, then turned and shouted at the security guards, drag him out for me, starting today. I don't want to see this person in the entire automotive industry of Haicheng. 2 security guards immediately rushed forward and dragged the salesperson out like a dead dog. The other salespeople and customers in the exhibition hall were all so frightened that they fell silent, not daring to make a sound. The manager who had just looked down on me was even more ashen, his legs trembling like a sieve. I didn't look at them anymore, pointed at that phantom, and said to Wang Defa, I'm taking this car. Mr. Jiang, you must be joking. It's good fortune that you'd fancy it. I'll give it to you. Consider this car my tribute to you. President Wang hurriedly said, I never owe anyone a favor when I buy something. I took out the black card Qingji had prepared long ago and handed it over. Charge it. This, why yes. How could Mr. Wang dare to refuse? He quickly had the manager go handle the paperwork. Looking at the vast showroom, I suddenly felt a little bored. Qingji, yes, President Jiang, notify the investment department of Huanyu to acquire this auto mall. My voice was not loud, but it clearly reached everyone's ears. Manager Wang's whole body trembled, and the expression on his face changed from fawning to ecstatic delight. Acquired by Huanyu Group. Wasn't that like skyrocketing to the top in one step? With a thud, he also knelt down, though this time it was from excitement. Thank you, young Master Jiang. Thank you for your support, young Master Jiang. I ignored him and turned to leave. Just then, a familiar voice came from the doorway. Jiang Yu. I turned around and saw Su Qingqian. She was standing at the doorway, still holding her phone, apparently here to look for me. She saw Mr. Wang kneeling on the ground, saw the phantom being processed for registration, and saw the awestruck looks on everyone around us. Her face was filled with shock and bewilderment. She simply could not understand what was happening before her eyes. In her eyes, how could that useless freeloader possibly make the famous automobile king of Haicheng kneel? What are you doing? She asked in a hoarse voice. President Wang raised his head, saw Su Qingqian, and froze for a moment. He knew this was Jiang Shao's ex-wife, Miss Su. Su Qingqian ignored him, staring fixedly at me. Jiang Yu. What is going on? This car, you bought it? Where did you get the money? I looked at her as if I were looking at a stranger. What does my money have to do with you? After saying that, I took Qingji by the hand and walked straight past her. As we brushed past each other, I caught that familiar perfume scent on her. Once, I thought this was the smell of love. Now, it just makes me feel sick. Su Qingqian stood frozen in place, watching me get into that brand new Rolls-Royce Phantom. Watching Qingji sit in the passenger seat. It was only after the car slowly drove out of the showroom that she seemed to wake from a dream and chase after us. Jiang Yu, stop right there, explain yourself. Unfortunately, the phantom sound insulation was excellent. I could only see her figure in the rearview mirror, growing smaller and smaller, more and more hysterical. Chapter 5. The phantom was moving steadily along the road. Qingji turned her head to look at me. Her eyes filled with undisguised curiosity and admiration. Mr. Jiang, you were just now incredibly cool. I smiled and said nothing. This is nothing yet. The phone rang again. This time, it was Su Zhenhai. I answered, still on speakerphone. Jiang Yu, where are you right now? Qingqian said you bought a Rolls-Royce. Where did you get the money? Did you take our Su family's money? Su Zhenhai's voice was full of accusation and greed. People of the Su family really do all seem to think the same way. My money is mine, I replied calmly. Bullshit. Where would a loser like you get money from? I'm telling you'd better drive the car back right now. That's our Su family's property, otherwise, I'll call the police and have them arrest you. Sure, I said lightly, go ahead and report it. Coincidentally, I also have some accounts I'd like to settle properly with the police. What do you mean? Su Zhenhai's voice carried a hint of panic. For example, the fake account Su Group has been cooking over the past few years, the taxes it's evaded, and the shady dealings in the Changnan project. With every word I said, the breathing on the other end of the phone grew more ragged. By the time I finished, only a deathly silence remained on Su Zhenhai's end. After a full half-minute passed, he finally asked in a voice filled with utter terror, how could you possibly know all this? These were all core secrets of the Su family. Even Su Qingqian might not know them all, yet I, a useless live-in son-in-law in their eyes, knew them like the back of my hand. I know far more than you can imagine. I let out a cold laugh. Su Zhenhai, I'm giving you a chance, right now. Bring your precious daughter and your dear wife to the top floor of the Junyue Hotel, kneel down, and beg me. Perhaps I might consider leaving your Su family a way out. Don't you dare, Su Zhenhai roared, all bluster and no real confidence. Oh, I didn't waste any more words and hung up the phone directly. Then, I sent Uncle Wang a message. Step it up, I don't want to wait until tomorrow. Qingji looked at me and asked softly, Mr. Jiang, do you really have those pieces of evidence against the Su Group? Of course, in the past 2 years, although I have been acting, Qingji, as my assistant, has been secretly helping me gather all kinds of information. I know better than they do all the filthy messes in the Su family. Then they will come to beg you. Yes, I said with certainty. When the fear of death outweighs so-called dignity, they will kneel faster than anyone else. The car returned to Grand Hyatt Hotel. As soon as I got out of the car, a taxi braked hard to a stop in front of me. The door opened, and Su Qingqian and her mother, Li Tsuefen, rushed out. As soon as Li Tsuefen got there, without saying a word, she raised her hand and wanted to slap me. You ungrateful wretch, how dare you? You still want to hit me? My gaze turned cold. I stepped back half a pace and easily dodged. The two black-clad bodyguards behind me immediately stepped forward, one on the left and one on the right, and held Li Tsuefen up as easily as if lifting a chick. Let go of me. Do you know who I am? This is outrageous. Li Tsuefen struggled frantically, her shrewish nature fully on display. Su Qingqian also rushed over, pointing at me with reddened eyes. Jiang Yu, what on earth do you want? Let my mother go right now. I stared at her coldly. I said before, if you want to solve the problem, go kneel on the rooftop. Throwing a tantrum here is useless. Su Qingqian was so angry she was left speechless. Just then, my phone rang. It was an unfamiliar number. I answered. An old and authoritative voice came from the other end of the line. Xiaoyu, once you've had enough fun, come back. It's Grandpa. My heart suddenly trembled. Grandpa, I'm in Haicheng, at the old place. Come back. It's time to hand over the Universal Group to you. Chapter 6. Grandfather's voice carried an unmistakable authority. 3 years ago, in order to prove that even without the Jiang family's background, I could still win what was called love, I resolutely left the family and became a live-in son-in-law to the Su family. Grandfather had only said one thing at the time, young people always have to hit a wall before they know to turn back. I'll wait for you. Now, I've hit a wall, and I've turned back. I understand, Grandpa, I'll be there right away. After hanging up the phone, I looked again at Li Tsuefen, who was throwing a tantrum in front of me, and Su Qingqian, whose face was full of anger, and only felt that it was utterly ridiculous. A frog at the bottom of a well, how could it know how vast the sky is? I couldn't be bothered to deal with them any longer, so I instructed the bodyguards, throw them out, don't dirty the hotel floor. Yes, young Master Jiang. The bodyguards dragged Li Tsuefen and Su Qingqian away like 2 garbage bags. Jiang Yu, you bastard, you'll die a horrible death. Let go of me, I'm going to sue you. The curses of the mother and daughter grew fainter in the distance. I got into the car and said to Qingji, take me to Cloud Peak Villa. Cloud Peak Villa, the most exclusive private estate in Haicheng, was my grandfather's residence in the city. Along the way, Qingji seemed a bit reserved. She was clearly also intimidated by that phone call just now. To have the heir of the universe group respectfully call someone grandfather, that must be an incredibly terrifying presence. The car stopped at the entrance of Cloud Peak Villa. The guard at the entrance saw my car, stood at attention, and immediately saluted, then opened the gate. Inside the estate, pavilions and towers created a scenic view at every step. Grandpa was sitting on a stone bench in the lakeside pavilion, wearing a tang suit, with a cup of hot tea beside him. I walked over and stopped in front of him. Grandpa. He raised his head and looked me over with eyes that were cloudy yet still sharp and bright. You've gotten thinner, and darker too, he sighed. Looks like those 3 years of hardship weren't for nothing. I was too naive. I said softly, it's not your fault. Grandpa waved his hand. Without tasting the bitterness of coptis, how can one appreciate the sweetness of honey? Now, do you see clearly? I see clearly. That's good. Grandpa nodded, picked up a document from the side, and handed it to me. This is the authorization for all operations of the Universe Group in Haicheng. From now on, you are the highest executive officer of the Universe Group's Haicheng branch. Do whatever you want, and do it boldly. I took the documents. They felt heavy in my hands. Thank you, Grandpa. We're family. No need for formalities. Grandpa stood up and patted my shoulder. I came to Haicheng for 2 reasons, to see you and to attend a business summit. At that time, I will publicly announce your identity, publicly announce my identity. I immediately thought of the Su family. If the people of the Su family were at the summit and saw me appear as the heir to Huanyu Group, their expressions would surely be priceless. I understand. Go on. Grandpa waved his hand. Young man, don't always keep an old man like me company. Your battlefield is out there. I bowed respectfully and turned to leave, holding the letter of authorization in my hand. I felt as if the entire Haicheng was beneath my feet. Upon returning to the Junyue Hotel, Qingji immediately came up to greet me. Mr. Jiang, the Su family side, called again. It was Su Zhenhai. He sounded very scared. I took the phone, and there were more than a dozen missed calls on it. Finally scared, too late. I called back. The call was answered almost instantly. Jiang, young Master Jiang. Su Zhenhai's voice was full of flattery and fear. It was a misunderstanding. All a misunderstanding. We failed to recognize your greatness. You're a magnanimous person, so please don't hold it against us. Now you know it was a misunderstanding. I sneered. Yes, we were wrong. We were really wrong. Please show mercy and spare our Su family this once. I gave you a chance. Why yes, we didn't. Cherish it, young Master Jiang. Please give us one more chance. Tell us what you want us to do, and we'll listen to you. I fell silent for a moment. Want to live? Yes. Tomorrow at 9 in the morning, at the Su Group building, you, Li Tsuefen, and Su Qingqian, the 3 of you, kneel. What? Su Zhenhai on the other end of the phone gasped sharply. Kneel until I am satisfied. After saying that, I hung up the phone directly. Chapter 7. The Su family villa was shrouded in a cloud of gloom and despair. Su Zhenhai sat slumped on the sofa, the phone in his hand slipping to the floor. He wants us to kneel downstairs at the company tomorrow. As soon as Li Tsuefen heard this, she immediately blew up. What? Kneel? On what grounds? He's just a useless leech living off our family's money, and he still wants us to kneel to him. Dream on. Su Qingqian also clenched her teeth, her face full of humiliation. Dad, he's humiliating us. We can't agree to this. Can't agree, Su. Zhenhai let out a bitter laugh. If we don't agree, our Su family is finished. Do you know, just now, all the banks we cooperate with called and demanded that we repay all the loans immediately. The company's cash flow has already been cut off. How could it happen so fast? Su Qingqian couldn't believe it. This is the strength of Huanyu Group. Su Zhenhai slumped on the sofa, his eyes filled with despair. He wasn't joking. He really can destroy our family overnight. Li Tsuefen was dumbfounded too. She could throw a tantrum and be unreasonable, but she wasn't stupid. She knew what it meant to lose everything. It meant she could no longer go to the beauty salon, buy Hermes, or show off in front of those wealthy ladies. Then, what should we do? She panicked. Su Zhenhai looked at his wife and daughter, his eyes filled with struggle. To save the Su family, there is only one way. He didn't go on, but his meaning was already very clear. Su Qingqian's face turned deathly pale in an instant. Have her kneel down before Jiang Yu, that man she had once ordered around like a servant, that man she had humiliated in public with leftover food. Just thinking about that scene made her feel worse than death. No, I don't want to. She shook her head desperately, tears streaming down her face. I can't do it. Even if you can't do it, you have to do it. Su Zhenhai suddenly stood up and slapped Su Qingqian across the face. Smack. It's all your fault. If you hadn't been so troublesome, would we have offended someone this important? Now, just to save the Su family, what's wrong with making you kneel for a moment? do you want to watch our whole family end up sleeping on the streets? Su Qingqian was stunned by the blow, covering her face as she stared blankly at her father. This was the first time her father had ever hit her in all her years. Li Tsuifan was also too frightened to speak. The entire living room was filled only with Su Zhenhai's heavy panting and Su Qingqian's suppressed sobs. The next day, I woke up naturally. Qingji had already prepared breakfast and today's schedule for me. President Jiang, 9 o'clock, at the Su Group building, she reminded me. No rush, I said leisurely as I ate my breakfast, let them kneel a little longer. The longer they kneel, the more sincere they become, don't you think? Qingji smiled but said nothing. 9 o'clock sharp, at the entrance of the Su Group headquarters, Su Zhenhai, Li Tsuifan, and Su Qingqian, under the astonished gazes of countless employees and passers-by, knelt straight down. This scene was quickly captured and posted online. Chairman of Su Group kneels publicly with wife and daughter. This topic instantly exploded across Haicheng's social media. Chapter 8. I sat by the floor-to-ceiling window at the Grand Hyatt, sipping coffee while scrolling through news on my phone. In the photo, Su Zhenhai's face was ashen, Li Tsuifan's face was full of venomous resentment, and Su Qingqian had her head lowered, her long hair covering her face, making her expression impossible to see, but one could imagine just how much humiliation and unwillingness would be on that once proud face at this moment. Can't handle it already, the real show has only just begun. Qingji walked in. Mr. Jiang, they've been kneeling for an hour already. More and more people are gathering at the scene, and Su Group's stock price has dropped another 5 points. I set down my coffee cup. Let them keep kneeling. Also, Qingji paused, then said, Su Qingqian just called you several times, you didn't answer, so she called me. Instead, what did she say? She's crying, saying she knows she was wrong, begging for your forgiveness, begging you to give her another chance, another chance. I laughed. I gave her 3 years of chances. Did she ever cherish them? I stood up and walked to the window, looking down at the bustling traffic of the city. Let's go see whether our Miss Su is kneeling in a standard enough posture. Downstairs at the Su Group building, 3 layers inside and 3 layers outside were already packed with people. The flashlights kept flickering, and everyone wore expressions of excitement and curiosity. My phantom slowly came to a stop by the roadside. The car door opened, and I stepped out of the vehicle wearing a crisp, tailored suit. The crowd automatically parted to make way. Everyone's gaze was fixed on me. Step by step, I walked over to the 3 people kneeling there. I looked down at them from above. Su Zhenhai raised his head, forcing out a smile uglier than tears. Jiang. Young Master Jiang, you're here. Li Tsuifan, on the other hand, stared at me fiercely, the hatred in her eyes almost taking on physical form, and Su Qingqian finally lifted her head. That beautiful face was covered in tear tracks, her gaze filled with the most complicated emotions. There was regret, unwillingness, fear, and also a trace of pleading that even she herself had not noticed. Jiang, she said hoarsely, I was wrong, will you forgive me? Let's remarry, I'll treat you well from now on, I promise. Remarry. I felt like I had just heard the biggest joke in the world. I crouched down to meet her eye level and whispered in a voice only the two of us could hear, Su Qingqian, have you forgotten how you looked when you fed me your leftovers? Her body trembled violently, her face instantly turning deathly pale. Have you also forgotten how you said I wasn't even worthy of tying your shoes? Now, you kneel here, begging me to remarry. I reached out and gently patted her cheek, the gesture flippant yet filled with contempt. Do you think you're still worthy? Su Qingqian's tears fell like broken strings of pearls. A tremendous sense of humiliation made her entire body tremble. I stood up, resuming that icy expression. If you want me to spare the Su family, fine. Su Zhenhai and Li Tsuifan immediately looked up, their eyes bursting with a glimmer of hope. As long as, I paused, letting my gaze sweep over each of them. Su Qingqian kneels and bows once every 3 steps, all the way from here to the entrance of Junue Hotel, then I'll consider giving your Su family a chance to catch its breath. What, 1 kowtow every 3 steps, from here to the Grand Hyatt Hotel, it's a full 5 kilometers. This isn't just humiliation, it's about grinding Su Qingqian's dignity into the dust and stomping on it a few more times. Chapter 9. No, I don't want to. Su Qingqian let out a scream, completely breaking down. She could kneel, but she could not accept this kind of humiliation. This was even more unbearable than killing her. Li Tsuifan also jumped up, pointing at my nose and cursing, Jiang, don't push people too far. Are you trying to drive us to our deaths, drive you to the brink? When you were forcing me back then, you never thought about any of this. I looked at them coldly, not willing. I took out my phone and pretended to make a call. Then forget it. Uncle Wang would probably be very happy to announce the bankruptcy liquidation of the Su Group right now. Don't. Su Zhenhai grabbed Su Qingqian and Li Tsuifan, his face full of terror. He turned around and, almost pleadingly, said to Su Qingqian, Qingqian, please, I'm begging you as your father, just this once, as long as you do as I say, our family will be saved. Dad, Su Qingqian looked at him in despair. Knock your head, I'm telling you to kowtow. Su Jinhai's eyes were bloodshot as he nearly shouted the words out. He knew this was their last chance. Su Qingqian looked at her frantic father, then at me standing beside him with an indifferent expression. Finally, the last glimmer of light in her eyes went out. She smiled, but it was uglier than crying. All right, I'll kowtow. She stood up and straightened her disheveled clothes. Then, under everyone's gaze, she took 3 steps forward. Thud, she knelt straight down, her forehead heavily striking the cold, hard marble floor. A dull thud echoed. Everyone gasped in shock. She lifted her head, her smooth forehead already swollen and red. Without pausing, she stood up again and took 3 steps forward. Thud, another sound. This time, her forehead was broken, and blood flowed down her cheek. Shocking. Among the onlookers, some began to whisper, some took out their phones to record, and some showed signs of distress, and I just watched in silence. Heartache. No, this is what she deserves. Su Qingqian was like a soulless puppet, mechanically repeating the motions of standing up, moving forward, kneeling down, and bowing her head in kowtows. Blood and tears mingled together, blurring her vision. Her knees had long been scraped raw, and every step she took sent a piercing pain through her, but she did not stop, because she knew that if she stopped, the Su family would be finished. I did not watch any longer. I said to Qingji, let's go. Back in the car, I closed my eyes. Qingji looked at me through the rearview mirror and asked softly, Mr. Jiang, are you satisfied now? I didn't answer. Did that feel satisfying? Maybe a little, but more than that, it was a kind of emptiness. 3 years of love, only to end up with such an embarrassing farce. Is it worth it? Not worth it. The phone buzzed. It was a message from Uncle Wang. Young master, the invitation to the Haicheng Business Summit has already been delivered to the Su family. It specifically named Su Jinhai and Su Qingqian to attend. The corners of my mouth lifted slightly. The final judgment has come. Chapter 10. The Haicheng Annual Business Summit was held at the International Convention and Exhibition Center. Those who could receive an invitation were, without exception, business tycoons in Haicheng and even the surrounding areas. The Su family had never been qualified to attend in previous years, but this year, they received a gold-embossed invitation. Su Jinhai looked at the invitation, his hands trembling. He knew this was not some kind of mercy, it was the final judgment bench. There was still gauze on Su Qingqian's forehead, and her face was as pale as a ghost. That day, she passed out halfway after hitting her head and was rushed to the hospital. But Jiang Yu did not spare the Su family because of that. The Su family's stock was still falling. Dad, are we really going? Su Qingqian's voice was tinged with fear. Go, we have to go. Su Jinhai gritted his teeth. This is our last chance. Maybe if Jiang Yu sees our sincerity, he'll let us off at the summit. Sincerity, it's nothing more than a final fantasy. That evening at the summit, celebrities and prominent figures gathered in crowds, with glasses clinking all around. Su Jinhai and Su Qingqian, dressed in proper formal attire, appeared at the venue, yet they seemed like 2 ugly ducklings who had strayed into Swan Lake, out of place with everything around them. No one greeted them, everyone looked at them with a strange kind of gaze. They became the laughingstock of the entire Haicheng. Su Qingqian lowered her head, wishing she could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. At that moment, the venue suddenly fell silent. Everyone turned their gaze toward the entrance. An elderly man dressed in traditional Chinese attire, looking spirited and vigorous, walked in surrounded by a group of people. It's Mr. Jiang from the Universe Group. Oh my, why would he come to Haicheng? Who is that young man beside him? He's so handsome. Su Jinhai and Su Qingqian also looked over. When they saw the young man beside old Master Jiang, both of their bodies froze simultaneously. That person was Jiang Yu. He was wearing a top-tier custom suit, standing tall and straight, with a cold, stern face and an arrogant, condescending gaze. He was no longer the useless live-in son-in-law who had been so timid and submissive in the Su family. He looked like a king, surveying his own territory. How could he be with the chairman of Huanyu Group? And they were even that close. An absurd yet terrifying thought rose simultaneously in Su Jinhai's and Su Qingqian's minds. No, impossible, absolutely impossible. At this point, old Master Jiang walked up to the main podium. He picked up the microphone, and his voice rang out clearly throughout the entire venue. Thank you all for coming to today's summit. Today, I'm here for only one purpose, to announce one thing. He paused, his gaze sweeping over the room before finally settling on me. He smiled and waved at me. Jiang Yu, come here. I stepped onto the stage and stood beside my grandfather. Grandfather Jiang placed his hand on my shoulder and solemnly announced to everyone, from today onward, my grandson, Jiang Yu, will officially take over all affairs of the Universal Group. He is the future master of the Universal Group." Boom, the entire venue instantly erupted into an uproar. Everyone looked at me as if I were a god, and Su Jinhai and Su Qingqian were completely stunned. Their faces were even uglier than those of the dead. Grandson Jiang Yu is the biological grandson of the chairman of the Universe Group, that waste who had been humiliated by them for 3 years turned out to be the heir of the top-tier wealthy family in this country. This realization struck them like a bolt of lightning, hitting them right on the top of their heads. No, Su Qingqian's legs gave way, and she collapsed to the ground, murmuring to herself, completely losing her composure. Su Jinhai's vision went black, and he fell straight backward. I stood on the stage, watching the scene coldly. Then I picked up the microphone and said my first words. "Hello everyone, I am Jiang Yu." The first thing I did upon taking office was to announce that the Universe Group would fully acquire all promising enterprises in Haicheng. However, I shifted my tone, my gaze sharp as a blade, piercing through the already unconscious Su Jinhai and the disheartened Su Qingqian, excluding those companies that lack integrity and are utterly corrupt, for example, the Su Group. From this moment on, I do not wish to see those 4 words in Haicheng again. My words are the final judgment. The Su family is finished, completely and utterly finished. Chapter 11. After the summit ended, the business world of Haicheng underwent earth-shaking changes. The Su Group, this name, became history overnight. Assets were frozen, the company was liquidated, and Su Jinhai was placed under investigation for multiple economic crimes and ended up behind bars. Unable to accept the huge fall from a wealthy lady to the family member of a prisoner, Li Cuifan suffered a mental breakdown and was sent to a psychiatric hospital. As for Su Qingqian, she sold all her designer bags and jewelry just to barely rent a one-room unit in an old, remote residential complex. The Su family's eldest daughter, who had once never lifted a finger to do housework, now had to make ends meet by serving dishes and washing dishes in a restaurant every day. The job she had once looked down on the most became the only skill she could rely on to survive. As for the intern Lin Hao, after the Su family fell from power, he was also fired by the company, because he had offended me. No company in Haicheng dared hire him, and in the end he could only return to his hometown in disgrace. Everyone who bullied me and looked down on me got the fate they deserved. As for me, I had officially taken over the Haicheng branch of Huanyu Group. In the office, Qingji brewed me a cup of coffee. She looked at me, her eyes carrying a gentle smile. "Mr. Jiang, it's all over." I nodded and took her hand. "No, it's just beginning." I looked at her and said seriously, "Qingji, thank you for staying with me these past 3 years." Qingji's face reddened. "That's what I should have done." "No." I shook my head and took a velvet box from the drawer. Opening it, inside was a dazzling diamond ring. "What I want to say is, in the coming decades, are you still willing to stay by my side?" Qingji froze. She looked at me, tears slowly welling up in her eyes. She didn't say a word, just nodded firmly. I smiled as I slipped the ring onto her finger, then pulled her into my embrace. Outside the window, the sunlight was just right. My new life was only just beginning. Chapter 12. 6 months later, my wedding with Qingji was held at the most exclusive island hotel in Haicheng. The wedding was grand and solemn, with all the celebrities in Haicheng in attendance. Grandfather also made a special trip from the capital. Grinning from ear to ear, I stood at the end of the red carpet in my white suit, watching Qingji in her pristine wedding dress, escorted by her father, step by step toward me. She looks as beautiful as an angel today, my angel. The priest solemnly reads the vows. At the moment we exchange rings and prepare to kiss, a discordant voice suddenly came from the church entrance. "Jiang Yu." Everyone turned to look. They saw a woman wearing a cheap server's uniform, thin and haggard, being stopped by 2 security guards at the door. It was Su Qingqian. No one knew where she had gotten the news, but she had actually barged in here. "Jiang Yu, you can't marry her," she screamed hysterically. "I'm your wife, look at me, I'm Qingqian." Her hair was greasy, her fingernails were full of grime, and she carried a sour, greasy smell of kitchen fumes on her body. Where is there even a trace of the Su family's eldest young lady from back then? The guests were whispering among themselves, pointing at her. So ugly. I didn't even have the slightest extra emotion. I ignored her and simply turned my head to look at my bride tenderly. "Don't let irrelevant people disturb our wedding." Qingji smiled at me and nodded. I lowered my head and kissed her lips. The noise of the entire world drifted away from me at this moment. All that remained in my ears was Su Qingqian's desperate, shrill cries as the security guards dragged her out. "Jiang Yu, I regret it, I really regret it, please give me one more chance." "Okay, too late. In this world, the most useless thing is regret. In my world, the sun shines brightly, with no more shadows, but in her world, from the moment she pushed that plate of leftovers in front of me, it had already fallen into eternal hell.